Chapter 3474. We have a teleportation item here. If you trust it, you can crush it. In the abyssal dried bones pool, Ling Honggu handed him a skeleton compass. Wang Xian took a look at it. It was a teleportation item. He smiled and nodded. Then, his figure moved and he slowly disappeared. Ling Honggu chuckled and then disappeared. When Wang Xian regained his vision, he was already in a huge skeleton building in the inner region of the spirit demon tribe. Below him was a huge array. Ling Honggu and the rest appeared beside Wang Xian. Eh? To Wang Xian's surprise, Ling Honggu was no longer in the form of a skeleton. Instead, she was a beautiful woman. What's the name of our friend from the Dragon Palace? Ling Honggu asked Wang Xian with a smile. Wang Xian! Wang Xian reported his name and cupped his fists with a smile. Oh yes, Miss Ling Honggu. Why was the devil skeleton that you guys were chasing just now pink? I felt that there were two types of elemental energy in its body. Wang Xian asked. This was the main reason why he followed Wang Xian here this time. Young Master Wang Xian, you're a guest. Let's find a place to sit down. I'll answer your questions, Ling Honggu said with a smile as she gestured to the three people beside her. The three of them chuckled and left. All right. Thank you, Miss Ling Honggu, said Wang Xian with a smile. You're welcome. If it weren't for you, the devil's skeleton might have escaped. I should be the one thanking you. If young Master Wang Xian needs any help in the future, feel free to look for me. Ling Honggu smiled as she led him out. This was the core region of the spirit demon tribe. Those who weren't from the spirit demon tribe were forbidden from entering. Huh! What's going on? His figure suddenly disappeared. Where is he now? That direction! Just as Wang Xian followed Ling Honggu into the inner region of the spirit demon tribe, 5 figures were standing above the abyssal dried bones pool. Red Eye stared at the eye in his hand. The huge eye on his head was glowing as he spoke. It should be a teleportation item. Lord Divine Dragon's son, the Devil Dragon from the Dragon Palace, is in that direction. Red Eye pointed to a spot and said to a skinny but extremely handsome middle-aged light divine dragon beside him. Come on, let's go over and kill him. The middle-aged light divine dragon was the son of the sacred dragon king of the sacred dragon bloodline. He was also the most outstanding son, the sacred dragon's son. Sun Xinglong stared in that direction and said faintly, It's Lord Holy Dragon's son! Red Eye immediately responded and led the way. Lord Holy Dragon's son, that direction seems to be the spirit demon race. The spirit demon race is not weak. A light divine dragon looked ahead and said, Give them a heads up. They won't dare to protect the enemies that our sacred dragon bloodline wants to kill. Sun Xinglong said indifferently. The few light divine dragons nodded slightly. In terms of overall strength, the spirit demon tribe was still slightly inferior to the sacred dragon bloodline. 4 light divine dragons and 1 expert of the 100 Cities Alliance traversed the skies above the spirit demon tribe. Their powerful auras did not hold back at all. Your Highness! On a spirit demon's gigantic bony claw. This claw stood tall on the ground. It was hundreds of thousands of meters tall, and it was extremely huge. Such a gigantic claw must have been an expert at the Universe Lord realm when it was alive. Ling Honggu flew over with Wang Xian on the tallest claw in the center. An expert from the spirit demon tribe immediately bowed respectfully. Prepare a sumptuous meal for our guest and serve it up as soon as possible, Ling Honggu ordered. Yes, Your Highness. The expert from the spirit demon tribe immediately responded respectfully. Oh? I didn't expect you to be the princess of the spirit demon tribe. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with astonishment. He had thought that the other party was just an expert from the spirit demon tribe. He did not expect her to be a princess. The spirit demon tribe belonged to the skeleton tribe. The skeleton tribe was similar to the divine dragon tribe in the past. The skeleton tribe was not a whole tribe. They were divided into skeleton kings. Every skeleton sovereign king possessed the universe ruler realm. The king was the king of the tribe. Below him were the princes, princesses, and generals. The status of a princess was very high in the skeleton tribe, especially when Ling Honggu had the combat strength of a second-order universe lord. This strength was considered top-notch in the spirit demon tribe. It's just the identity of a princess. In the chaotic continent, everything depends on one's own strength. Ling Honggu smiled. With a wave of his hand, he took out the pink skull. If I'm not wrong, this pink skull has the combat strength of a third-order universe lord. Princess Ling Honggu, the four of you were able to injure it severely. Impressive! Wang Xian looked over and sized it up. That's because it had just broken through and I had the clan's treasure. That's why I was able to injure it. Ling Honggu smiled and introduced. This skull is known as the pink skull in our city. According to my father, the owner of this pink skull was at least a sixth-order universe lord when she was alive. Furthermore, the owner of this skull had an extremely terrifying body. Right now, in the entire land of Devil Bones, there is only one known pink skeleton corpse, but her corpse has already been scattered into many parts. Now, I have obtained the location of her chest and head. Wang Xian nodded. Princess Ling Honggu, can you transfer the parts of the pink skull to yourself? I'm a special case. When I was young, I almost died because of a disaster. In order to save me, my mother used a powerful treasure to fuse this pink skeleton's chest into my body, allowing me to escape the disaster. This part of the chest has already completely fused with me. According to my father's speculation, if I can find the other parts, perhaps my strength will greatly increase. Ling Honggu smiled. However, the various parts of the pink skull have gained sentience. Over the past hundreds of millions of years, this is the only part I've obtained. It's also the most important part. The skull might give me a chance to become the skeleton sovereign king. Is that so? Then I wish Princess Ling Honggu good luck in entering the Universe Lord realm. Wang Xian smiled and his eyes flickered. That's just my wishful thinking. It's too difficult to break through. Moreover, I'm still one realm away. Ling Honggu shook her head. At this moment, the experts from the spirit demon tribe served some food. Young master, try the delicacies of the spirit demon tribe. Ling Honggu smiled and gestured. Thank you. Wang Xian nodded. Chapter 3475. This is a hallucinogenic fruit, a Tier 1 Universe Lord Realm fruit. Eating it will cause hallucinations. Of course, the hallucinations are beneficial. Eating it is a great enjoyment. Ling Honggu introduced as she handed a fruit to Wang Xian with a smile. Oh, such delicacies are rare. Wang Xian was surprised as he commented with a smile. Don't be fooled by how desolate the land of Devil Bones looks. There are many treasures here. Ling Honggu chuckled. Indeed, one can obtain many treasures in the land of Devil Bones. Wang Xian chuckled as he chatted with the princess of the spirit demon race. He had a basic understanding of the pink skull. The body parts of the pink skeletons weren't very useful to other darkness attribute powerhouses. They could only be forged into powerful weapons. But to Ling Honggu, it was indeed a rare treasure. Of course, the body parts of the pink skull were much more valuable than the devil skeletons of the same level. Honggu, you obtained the skull of the pink skull? Just as the two of them were chatting, an old man appeared suddenly. The old man wore a black robe and had a horn on his head. He exuded the aura of a superior. He appeared beside Wang Xian and Ling Honggu abruptly as he spoke happily. Yes, father. This is all thanks to young master Wang Xian. If not for his coincidental appearance, we might not have been able to suppress it. Ling Honggu stood up and spoke to the old man. Her? Spirit Demon King! Wang Xian was taken aback when he saw the old man. He immediately cupped his fist and greeted him. He could sense a palpitating energy from the old man. This was the leader of the spirit demon race, the king of the spirit demon race. Haha, you must be the divine dragon from the Dragon Palace. Thank you for your help. Spirit Demon King chuckled as he spoke to Wang Xian. It's just a coincidence. Wang Xian chuckled. Reporting to the king. There are experts from the Sacred Dragon Bloodline and the 100 Cities Alliance flying towards us. We warn them that they have something urgent to attend to. They are very strong. 3 figures flew over from the front. They were in the form of skeletons as they reported to Spirit Demon King. Her? Spirit Demon King was slightly surprised. Wang Xian frowned when he heard the news. Did he catch up again? They should be here to kill me. Since they didn't succeed the last time, there's a high chance they'll send a third-order sovereign realm expert this time, said Wang Xian with a frown. He looked at Ling Hongyu and the Spirit Demon King and said, I won't disturb you anymore. I am the Sacred Dragon's son. I have come to kill the enemies of my Sacred Dragon bloodline. I have no intention of offending the Spirit Demon clan. I hope that the Spirit Demon clan can give me some face. At this moment, a voice came from afar. Following that, 4 light divine dragons and red-eyed eyes flew over, emitting powerful light energy. Sun Xing and the rest did not transform into the form of divine dragons. This was also because they did not want to infuriate the Spirit Demon race. Spirit Demon experts followed them from all directions. However, it was clear that the top powerhouses of the Spirit Demon tribe had yet to arrive. Humph! When the Spirit Demon King saw Xinglong and the rest, he snorted lightly and instantly appeared in the void above. A skeleton throne instantly appeared behind him. He sat there coldly, and his entire body turned into a 5-meter-tall skeleton. A hand grabbed onto his shoulder. On the throne was the skull of a terrifying creature, and it contained an immense might. He stared ahead and the skeleton fire and his eyes flickered continuously. Huh! Spirit Demon King? Sun Xinglong and the rest, who were flying over, could feel the might of the Spirit Demon King on the skeleton throne. They were floating in the void. Lord Sun Xinglong, the demonic dragon from the Dragon Palace is over there. The eye in red-eyed eye's hand sensed something. His huge eye looked over and immediately reported to Sun Xinglong. Sun Xinglong swept his gaze across and locked onto Wang Xian. At this moment, Wang Xian's gaze also landed on Sun Xinglong. When he felt the energy from him, his face turned solemn. A third-order universe sovereign. Indeed! In order to kill him, the sacred dragon bloodline had sent even stronger existences. This must be the Spirit Demon King. Someone from the Dragon Palace killed the experts of our sacred dragon bloodline. We are here to kill them. Spirit Demon King, please make things convenient for us. Sun Xinglong's gaze landed on the Spirit Demon King as he cupped his fists and spoke. Barging into our Spirit Demon race. Are you looking down on us? The Spirit Demon King stared at Sun Xinglong and questioned him coldly. We, the sacred dragon bloodline, had no other choice. The other party killed our experts, so I hope that the Spirit Demon King can give us some face. The Spirit Demon King can expel the other party, and we'll take action ourselves. Our sacred dragon bloodline is also compensating the Spirit Demon race. Sun Xinglong replied with a smile. Father! Ling Hongyu frowned slightly and shouted when he heard Sun Xinglong's words. Hey, sacred dragon bloodline, I'll give you 3 seconds. Leave the territory of our Spirit Demon race within 3 seconds. Otherwise, you can stay here forever. The Spirit Demon King stared at Sun Xinglong and sneered as he warned. Spirit Demon King, are you trying to protect the enemies of our sacred dragon bloodline? We, the sacred dragon bloodline, have no intention to be enemies with you. Sun Xinglong's expression changed slightly as he spoke with a sullen face. The Spirit Demon King sat there quietly. There was no response. Sun Xinglong frowned slightly as he looked at the Spirit Demon King. 3 seconds are up. I'm going to die. However, 3 seconds later, the Spirit Demon King made his move. Towering murderous intent surged forward. 1. The claw on his shoulder disappeared instantly. In the next moment, it appeared beside Sun Xinglong. Dozens of claws tore at Sun Xinglong directly. What? Sun Xinglong's expression changed drastically when he saw the Spirit Demon King making his move. He had not expected the other party to attack just like that. Moreover, he could feel the threat of death from the dark claws around him. Inborn Cardinal Treasure. Are you really going to be enemies with the sacred dragon bloodline? Sun Xinglong's expression changed drastically as he spat out 2 dragon eyes from his mouth. The dragon eyes formed a halo to resist the horrifying claws of hell. Ignorant fools! Do you think our spirit demon race is afraid of the sacred dragon bloodline? How dare you barge into our spirit demon race? Courting death. The spirit demon king revealed a look of disdain. Even if an angel were to come, I would still dare to attack, let alone a group of lackeys like you. Huh! Wang Xian was shocked to see the spirit demon king attacking the sacred dragon bloodline directly from the huge skeletal claw. He had not expected the spirit demon king to be so ferocious as to use an inborn cardinal treasure to eliminate the other party. He had not expected Sun Xinglong to have an inborn cardinal treasure. He was a third-order universe sovereign realm expert, and he even had a Xiantian treasure with him. He was determined to kill him. Chapter 3476. Double Dragon Eyes, Light Reversal, Dragon Eyes Void. When the sacred dragon son saw the spirit demon king's connate cardinal treasure attack, his expression changed drastically as he roared. The 2 dragon eyes rotated around him. Illusory dragon eyes appeared around him. The 2 dragon eyes seemed to form a special spatial domain. The connate supreme treasure, the dragon eyes, withstood the attacks of the claws. Spirit demon clan, you are provoking us! Sun Xinglong roared with an ugly expression. Ha, provoke? In the future, no one can touch the disciples of the Dragon Palace in the territory of the Spirit Demon tribe, not even your sacred dragon bloodline. The Spirit Demon King stood up and laughed confidently. He stared at the Divine Dragon Son and said, You actually brought a primordial cardinal treasure. Ha, I'd like to see whether the Divine Dragon's eyes or my Hell's Claw is more powerful. Kill! As he spoke, he let out a low roar, and waves of dark energy surged towards the claws of hell. Ka ka ka! In the next instant, even more claws appeared in the void. Those densely packed claws seemed to have a life of their own as they clawed towards Sun Xinglong and the others. When Sun Xinglong saw this scene, his expression changed drastically. Saint Dragon Eyes, let's go! Sun Xinglong's expression was abnormally ugly. He waved his hand and the surrounding dragon eyes slowly overlapped, forming an incomparably powerful dragon eye defense. He roared at the light divine dragon and red eye. Their expressions were somewhat unsightly, but they did not dare to stay any longer and directly disappeared. Since the spirit demon race had clashed with the spirit demon king, it was very likely that more third-order sovereigns would come over. At that time, it would be difficult for them to escape even if they had connate cardinal treasures. Looking at the confrontation in the sky, Wang Xian was shocked. At the same time, he felt slightly grateful to the spirit demon king. He had helped Ling Honggu capture the pink skull. However, Ling Honggu had helped him fend off the divine dragon's son and even offered to protect him. This made him feel warm inside. The spirit demons were one of the few friends he had. Princess Ling Honggu, many thanks to Lord Spirit Demon King for protecting her. Many thanks! Wang Xian cupped his fist at Ling Honggu and expressed his gratitude. There's no need. You helped me, so it's normal for me to help you, isn't it? This is a cause and effect relationship. Ling Honggu smiled at him. Someone from the sacred dragon bloodline dares to barge into our spirit demon race and act so arrogantly? If they don't have connate cardinal treasures, I'll kill them all. At this moment, the spirit demon king flew over and transformed into an old man. Thank you, spirit demon king, for your help. Wang Xian thanked the spirit demon king with a smile. Haha, it's no big deal. Just like what Honggu said, everything has its consequences. From now on, no one will dare to touch you in the territory of the spirit demon tribe. The spirit demon king laughed and said nonchalantly, The holy dragon bloodline is very strong, and they also have the angel race behind them. Said Wang Xian. Haha, little brother, don't worry. They have a backer, but so do we. Don't worry, the sacred dragon bloodline won't dare to do anything. The spirit demon king smiled and did not care at all. Wang Xian chuckled. Rumor had it that the spirit demon tribe had the backing of the skeletal sovereign. It seemed like it was true. This was also the trump card that allowed the spirit demon king to not be afraid of the holy dragon bloodline. Thank you, spirit demon king. Thank you, Princess Linghonggu. I happened to obtain some things in the land of devil bones. Princess Linghonggu should be able to use them. Wang Xian wasn't a petty person since they were so loyal to him. He took out the pink skeleton palm and the pink skeleton finger bone. Huh! When Linghonggu and the spirit demon king saw the pink palm and finger bone, they were taken aback and their eyes lit up. This is the pink skeleton palm and finger bone. They have already reached the second order universe sovereign realm. Young Master Wang Xian, you actually obtained 2 of them? Linghonggu stared at Wang Xian in shock. It's a coincidence. I obtained this pink skeleton palm from a skeleton that ambushed me. That skeleton seems to be on the bounty list of the spirit demon tribe. This pink skeleton was suppressed by me in the abyssal dried bones pool, said Wang Xian with a smile. These pink skeleton palms and finger bones are very precious to me. Linghonggu's eyes were filled with excitement. Honggu, after you fuse the pink skeleton with the palm and finger bone, you might even be stronger than father. The spirit demon king also revealed an excited expression. Yeah. Linghonggu nodded and looked at Wang Xian. Thank you, young master Wang Xian. I will trade 6 second order universe sovereign realm devil skeleton corpses with you. As he spoke, he looked at his father. Sure. The spirit demon king nodded. The pink skeleton palm and finger bone aren't worth that much in the market. For it is. Wang Xian shook his head and said, it's worth 6. These 2 pink skulls are worth 10 of the same level, let alone 6. You don't have to refuse. 6 it is. The spirit demon king said. Linghonggu nodded with a smile. Wang Xian looked at them and nodded his head with a smile. 6 second order universe sovereign realm devil skeleton corpses weren't enough to upgrade the Tai Chi dragon plate. However, these 6 second order universe sovereign realm devil skeleton corpses were extremely precious to him. If he used them to upgrade the strength of the dragon palace, he would be able to produce 6 second order universe sovereigns. He didn't say anything else as the transaction was completed. Young Master Wang Xian, the 100 Cities Alliance and the Sacred Dragon Bloodline seem to want to deal with the Dragon Palace. Why don't you come to the land of Devil Bones? They won't dare to act recklessly here. Linghonggu brought Wang Xian to a hall made of skeletons and said, there's no need. They want to kill us, and we are prepared to kill them. Thank you, Princess Linghonggu, for your kindness. Wang Xian shook his head. The Dragon Palace had never been afraid of anyone in a battle. When the 8 Devil Shah and the rest took control of the cities, it would be the start of the Dragon Palace's revenge. Over the next few decades, Wang Xian would slowly play with them. He would start with the 100 Cities Alliance. As for the Sacred Dragon Bloodline, Wang Xian would annihilate them sooner or later. Young Master Wang Xian, you must be careful. As long as you are in the land of Devil Bones, you can directly teleport to the spirit demon race. Linghonggu gave him a teleportation item. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony and accept it. I wonder if Princess Linghonggu has any information about the pink skeleton parts? If you do, I can look for them and sell them to you at a good price. Wang Xian smiled and said, I only know that there are some in the land of blood, but I have no idea where they are. I have searched for hundreds of millions of years and only managed to suppress 1 pink skeleton. It won't be easy to find them. Linghonggu smiled and shook her head. Chapter 3477. Wang Xian was grateful to the Spirit Demon King and Linghonggu for what they had done. Although Wang Xian had helped them first, the other party's reward was generous enough. They were willing to go against the Sacred Dragon Bloodline and protect his dragon palace. This was a huge reward. Moreover, the price they had offered him for the pink skull palms was higher. Wang Xian was prepared to make a trip to the land of blood to see if he could get more pink skull palms. After chatting with Linghonggu for a while, Wang Xian left. This time, Ling Honggu gave him a more detailed set of information. More detailed information about the land of blood. It included some of the dangers in the land of blood. It was more detailed than what he had gotten from the spirit demon tribe. Wan Xian flew out from the spirit demon tribe and arrived at the land of blood 10 days later. This was a blood-red ground. There were no skeletons here, only endless blood. However, the blood had lost its energy. There were devil skeletons in it, looking for some essence blood with energy. These essence blood were usually extremely precious treasures. Some could even raise the cultivation level of a living being. The ground of the land of blood was soft, and one could drill into it directly. Wan Xian came to the sky above the land of blood and looked down. The entire sky above the land of blood was filled with a blood-red mist. Even after billions of years, the air was still filled with the stench of blood. Wan Xian looked down and flew over directly. Bam! The land of blood was unusually soft. Wan Xian drilled into it easily and dived down at a terrifying speed. According to Ling Honggu, there were basically no devil skeletons or skeletons in the shallow areas of the land of blood. This was because there would be no essence blood in the shallow areas. Only the deeper areas existed. Therefore, he had to go deeper if he wanted to gain something. After Wan Xian entered, he continued to drill deeper. 20 minutes later, Wan Xian's body suddenly came to a halt as he revealed a shocked expression. At this moment, he was already in the deeper areas of the land of blood. Here, he sensed the progenitor tree in his body had some changes. This caused him to be extremely astounded. This was the first time the progenitor tree had such a change. With a thought, he sensed for a moment. 1. In the next moment, a root of the progenitor tree drilled out from Wang Xian's chest and took root in the land of blood. Wan Xian could vaguely sense a surge of energy entering the roots. What's going on? A look of surprise appeared on his face. What was the reason for the progenitor tree's roots to take root in the blood pool? Absorb energy? With a thought, the Water Tentacle King appeared in front of him. Dragon King! The King of Water Tentacles shouted when he saw Wang Xian. Do you understand the current situation? Wang Xian looked at the King of Water Tentacles and asked. The Water Tentacle King looked over and carefully sized up the surroundings. Dragon King, is this a dried-up blood pool that has lost its energy? Where is this place? She looked at the progenitor tree and curiously surveyed her surroundings before asking. The blood pool of the land of Devil Bone is not very far from the skeleton race, Wan Xian answered. Land of blood? The blood has dried up and the energy has disappeared. Part of it has dissipated into heaven and earth while the other part has integrated with the surroundings. The progenitor tree must have sensed that the nutrients here are more abundant and wants to absorb the energy here. The Water Tentacle King guessed. Dragon King, when you dive into the deepest part of the blood pool, a part of the energy from the blood has integrated with the ground. This has caused some changes to the ground. Ordinary divine trees and divine grass cannot absorb the energy in the ground. However, as a heavenly Yuan creation realm progenitor tree it can. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. With a swift move, he dived deeper. Half an hour later, he arrived at the deepest part of the blood pool. Indeed, when the branch of the progenitor tree reached deep into the ground, Wan Xian could sense red energy flowing into the progenitor tree. Indeed! Wan Xian mumbled to himself. I wonder what changes will happen to the progenitor tree or this branch. The changes to the progenitor tree had disrupted all his plans. Wan Xian sat there and waited quietly. As time passed, the branch of the progenitor tree gradually turned blood red. A month later, Wan Xian discovered a small fruit on the branch. The fruit was small, blood red, and exuded a pure luster. Wan Xian was taken aback as he sized it up carefully. The Water Tentacle King was also looking at it curiously. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. The small fruit had grown to the size of a fist. Wan Xian could sense that the fruit was about to ripen. This caused his face to be filled with anticipation. What would the effects of a ripened blood-red fruit be? 1-1. On this day, Wan Xian suddenly received news from the Yaqui devilish fiend. When he saw the news, he squinted his eyes and his gaze flickered. The Yaqui devilish fiend had sent news that they had taken control of the bodies of 4 First-Order sovereigns from the 100 Cities Alliance. In other words, they could now destroy the 4 cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. After destroying the Great Marquis City, Eternal Sky City, and the other 2 cities of the 100 Cities Alliance, the number of First-Order sovereigns in the Dragon Palace had reached 7. After that, Wang Xian destroyed 2 more First-Order sovereigns in the Old Star City. Excluding the devouring dragons, the number of First-Order sovereigns in the Dragon Palace had reached 9. These 9 were Sky Formation, the Water Dragon Leader, Roving Demon, Yaqui Devilish Fiend, 2 Venom Horn Dragons, and 2 Spike Dragons. The resources that the 4 cities obtained from the Old Star City were mainly used to strengthen the Venom Horn Dragons and Spike Dragons. After a few years, the Yaqui Devilish Fiend and the rest had completely parasitized the First-Order sovereigns in the 4 cities. Once the parasitism was successful, it would be a piece of cake to destroy the cities. Wang Xian replied to them to await further orders. Then, he continued to look at the blood-red fruit, waiting for it to ripen. Another month passed, and he suddenly sensed that the fruit had ripened. Wang Xian placed his hand on the fruit and the progenitor tree sent him a message. Blood refinement fruit can refine the bloodline and guide the strongest bloodline in the body. When this information was transmitted to Wang Xian's mind, he was taken aback for a moment. Gradually, his eyes beamed with fervor. The fruit of blood refinement was a very ordinary name. However, the effects of the fruit of blood refinement shocked Wang Xian. Refine the bloodline and guide the strongest bloodline in the body. What did this mean? This meant that as long as the flood dragon devoured it, it would have a chance to evolve into a pure-blooded divine dragon, a true divine dragon. Chapter 3478. This blood refinement fruit is insane. Wouldn't it drive people crazy if it were to be found outside? Wang Xian mumbled to himself. A fruit that could refine one's bloodline was a great treasure to the descendants of the pinnacle races and experts who possessed the bloodline of the pinnacle races. The azure dragon contained the bloodline of the phoenix, divine tiger, black tortoise, and elf. As long as one devoured them, they would possess the bloodline of their ancestors. This was heaven-defying. It's indeed a support-type creation item. This ability is simply terrifying. Beside Wang Xian, the Water Tentacle King was shocked to hear Wang Xian's words. If this fruit was placed in the mountains and seas, countless Third-Order Universe sovereigns, cosmic beasts, and wild beasts would go crazy for it, he said plainly. This blood refinement fruit was undoubtedly the key to stepping into the universe sovereign realm for some wild beasts. To be able to form one in a year, it would be no problem to form hundreds of thousands, or even millions of them after absorbing the energy of this land. Wang Xian pondered as he stood up slowly. The roots that reached into the ground entered his body. In the next moment, he disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the Dragon Palace. He came to the location of the teleportation formation of the Dragon Palace. In the next moment, he appeared in the blessed land below the water of the heavens. Dragon King! Dragon King! Prime Minister Turtle and Roving Demon immediately came forward and greeted Wang Xian respectfully. Did anything happen in the past few years? Wang Xian looked at Prime Minister Turtle and asked. There's one thing. Roving Heavens was killed by the bounty hunters of the 100 Cities Alliance a year ago. Unlai has brought his soul over and he has recovered. A few thousand members of the Berserk Dragon species attacked a city of the 100 Cities Alliance, and more than half of them died. However, the city of the 100 Cities Alliance didn't fare well either. There were millions of casualties. Prime Minister Turtle continued with a smile. In addition, the other disciples of the dragon species suffered varying degrees of casualties, but they were all resurrected. Wang Xian nodded. He wasn't concerned about these casualties. Roving Heavens might have been killed, but 2 of his peers had died in order to kill him. The Dragon Palace had the branch of the soul returning wood and the resurrection of the progenitor tree. He took out the Universe AI to check on the situation of the 100 Cities Alliance. Compared to the past, the current 100 Cities Alliance was abnormally strict. Every city was on high alert. The war between the Dragon Palace and the 100 Cities Alliance had a great impact on the 100 Cities Alliance. Many of the residents of the 100 Cities Alliance settled here because the cities were neutral and there would be no wars. Now, no one knew if the Dragon Palace would suddenly send experts to attack them. As such, many people had already left the 100 Cities Alliance and entered other neutral cities. Those who were still in the 100 Cities Alliance were basically the true loyal citizens of the Alliance. Because the 100 Cities Alliance was made up of loyal citizens, the 100 Cities Alliance was exceptionally united. All of them were shouting slogans of wanting to destroy the Dragon Palace. Bounty teams were formed in various cities to kill members of the Dragon Palace. They were active in the surroundings. Once they got the news of the disciples of Dragon Palace, they would immediately kill them. In the past few years, many Dragon Palace members had died in their hands. But, at the same time, many disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance had also died at the hands of the Dragon Palace. As Wang Xian read through the messages, his face turned cold. He immediately sent a message to Orochi and the others. Buzz! Soon Orochi's figure arrived at the front. Let's go. Bring me to Orochi! Wang Xian instructed Orochi. Yes, Dragon King! Orochi replied immediately. In the next moment, they appeared in the City Lord residence. Jiuzhou City was the name of the city. In the City Lord residence, Wang Xian appeared beside the throne. Dragon King! An old man cupped his hands at Wang Xian. The old man had the strength of a First-Order Universe Lord. He wore a smile on his face. Have you taken control of this city? Wang Xian asked Orochi with a smile on his face. Yes, Dragon King, everything is under control. There's only one First-Order Sovereign Realm expert in this city. I've already collected all the treasures. We can take action at any time. Yamada no Orochi replied and continued. We might need to make a move against Demon Fiend and his two subordinates. Martial City, 9-Star Pearl City, and Star City have more than one First-Order Sovereign Realm expert in these three cities. In that case, let's make our move on this city first. Orochi, prepare the passageways to the other three cities. We will strive to wipe out all 4 cities within 1 to 2 hours. Wang Xian instructed Orochi. Yes, Dragon King. I will make the preparations immediately. Orochi nodded and left through the teleportation formation. Orochi, tell me some information about the 100 Cities Alliance. Wang Xian sat down and said to Orochi. Dragon King, the 100 Cities Alliance has indeed intervened in the war between the Sacred Dragon Bloodline and the Ancestral Dragon Bloodline. They have also sent people to kill the disciples of the Ancestral Dragon Bloodline. In addition, the defenses of the cities are very strong. For example, the city I am in now has a dozen teleportation formations that lead to the headquarters of the 100 Cities Alliance. Once a city is in danger, reinforcements can arrive within 2 minutes. If the news travels fast, they can arrive within tens of seconds. If we want to make a move, we have to destroy the teleportation formation first. Orochi said. Huh. If we destroy the teleportation formation, will they link it to a Universe Lord? Wang Xian's eyes flickered. That's for sure. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance has stipulated that half of the locations of the teleportation formations can only be known by City Lords and Universe Lord level experts. I'm afraid after we make a move, the other party will suspect that some of the City Lords are being controlled. Orochi nodded. However, our venom-horned dragon species can parasitize them. There shouldn't be any problem. It's hard to say. The Sacred Dragon Bloodline will help the 100 Cities Alliance. In fact, the Angel Tribe might even lend a helping hand. Wang Xian shook his head and his eyes flickered. Huh! Dragon King, there's news from the Universe AI. The experts of the Sacred Dragon Bloodline have failed to kill a black dragon in the land of Devil Bones. Is it you, Dragon King? Orochi asked in surprise. Wang Xian nodded. No matter what, let's wipe out these 4 cities first. We can make further plans after that. Yes. Orochi nodded. Before long, Orochi came over and nodded to Wang Xian. The demonic soul altar had been set up. They could reach another city from here in an instant. Let's do it. Wang Xian stood up and ordered with killing intent. Chapter 3479, Jiuzhou City. This was a city with a gentle name. At first, the powerhouses who built this city were a couple. In order to celebrate their 99 million years together, they built this city. The founder of this city was dead, and his descendants inherited it. Now, Jiuzhou City only had one city lord, a first-order universe sovereign. Jiuzhou City had undergone huge changes compared to when it was first built. Due to the unique terrain, Jiuzhou City housed many bounty hunter teams. Bounty hunters mainly relied on the trust of the 100 Cities Alliance to obtain information and raise their strength. Because of the existence of the 100 Cities Alliance, many bounty hunter teams were born. Powerful teams, with many pinnacle universe supremacies. In fact, many bounty hunter teams would choose to build their own cities and join the 100 Cities Alliance when their experts broke through to the First Order Universe Sovereign Realm. There were more than a dozen of them in Jiuzhou City. 80% of the people in Jiuzhou City were family members and disciples of the bounty hunters. Now that the 100 Cities Alliance was wantonly killing Dragon Palace disciples, these bounty hunters were an indispensable fighting force. Currently, those who were still in the 100 Cities Alliance were enemies of Dragon Palace. This was because those who did not want war had left the 100 Cities Alliance. No one wanted to be a victim of war. Those who did not leave were the instigators of war. Wang Xian did not show any mercy to those in Jiuzhou City. Since they dared to destroy Clear Sky City and assassinate him time and time again, Wang Xian and the 100 Cities Alliance would not rest until one of them was dead. When Wang Xian gave the order to attack, Roving Demon and 2 other First Order Universe Sovereigns, Spiked Dragon Species. Over 100,000 strong Spiked Dragon Species disciples. Wang Xian, the Water Tentacle King, Orochi, and the Sky Array and Water Dragon King leader and Lai brought over. They immediately came to a corner of Jiuzhou City. A Second Order Universe Sovereign and Dark Ghost Doppelganger of the same level. 7 First Order Universe Sovereigns. They immediately rose into the air and flew above Jiuzhou City. The 100 Cities Alliance wants to destroy Dragon Palace. In that case, all the disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance are enemies of Dragon Palace. Today, I, the Dragon King, sentence Jiuzhou City to perish. Wang Xian flew to the sky, and an overwhelming pressure gushed down. His face was filled with a cold expression as his murderous intent filled the entire city. The moment he made his move, Heavenly Formation, Orochi, and the others also made their move. Destruction descended upon the 99 City. Boom, boom, boom! Boom, boom, boom! An incomparably vast and terrifying energy started to condense in the sky above 99 City, blooming into a flower of death. Die! If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being from the 100 City Alliance! Wang Xian bellowed as destructive energy engulfed the area below. The sudden terrifying might, the sudden attack, at this moment, caused everyone in the city to tremble violently. Their faces were filled with fear and despair as they looked up. No, no, no! No, no, no! It's the experts from Dragon Palace. How could this happen? Why would they suddenly attack? Desperate voices and auras instantly filled the entire city. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The next moment, the destructive energy descended. No one could escape. Death was the only way. Wang Xian looked at the scene coldly. A city was turned into a dead city in 3 seconds. Lai's figure moved, and the venom-horned dragon and spiked dragon started to collect all the corpses. 5 minutes later, Wang Xian and the rest left immediately. When they reappeared, they were already at the 9-star Pearl City. The 9-star Pearl City was located in the sky, and it was made up of 9 interconnected stars. The stars weren't huge, but they contained terrifying energy. The 9 stars formed a huge array. Wang Xian and the rest appeared on one of the stars. Dragon King! Amo Sha, who was parasitizing the city lord, bowed immediately. Are you ready? Wang Xian asked. Dragon King, we're ready. There's still a First-Order Universe Lord cultivating in the blessed grotto heavens, Emosha said. All right, I'll kill him with my doppelgangers. Let's do it now. Don't waste any time. Wang Xian nodded his head and said, Yes, Dragon King. I can close the array in an instant. Emosha replied immediately. Let's go. Wang Xian moved his body and immediately hovered above the star. The Water Tentacle King, roving demon Orochi, and the rest immediately flew towards the surrounding stars, ready to strike. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A minute later, waves of majestic energy engulfed the stars. Under the destructive energy, the 9-star Pearl City was rapidly destroyed. The First-Order Universe Lord in the blessed grotto heavens was also easily killed by Dark Ghost's doppelganger. 5 minutes later, they left once again. The speed at which Wang Xian and the rest killed was extraordinarily fast and terrifying. In fact, even after 10 minutes, no one knew that 2 cities had been destroyed. The third city, Martial City, was also a city with 2 First-Order sovereigns. However, by the time Wang Xian and the rest arrived, that expert had already been killed by Venomhorn Dragon. This was because the experts in Martial City were a pair of father and son. It was a piece of cake for a father to kill his son. 2 minutes later, Martial City was destroyed. This time, a group of bounty hunters had just arrived at the edge of Martial City. What's happening? SSS, what kind of energy is this? What kind of destructive energy is this? Oh no, this destructive energy has engulfed the entire Martial City. Martial City can't withstand it at all. Our Martial City is destroyed. Outside, the group of bounty hunters had just killed the divine dragon and were ready to earn some treasures. However, they witnessed the destruction of Martial City with their own eyes. More than a dozen bounty hunters trembled violently, their faces filled with horror. Trying to destroy our dragon palace? Martial City, destroy. At this time, they heard a cold voice. Their eyes narrowed and were filled with horror. Seeing the destructive energy disappear and the Martial City fall into complete silence, they swallowed their saliva and flew over shakily. When they saw their Martial City turn into a dead city, they were already drenched in sweat. Horrifying! Horrifying! If they were in the city, they would definitely die. Revenge from the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace is taking revenge again. They actually destroyed our entire Martial City so easily. How is this possible? What kind of enemy did we offend? Horrified voices came from their mouths. Chapter 3480, Dragon Palace, a force that the 100 Cities Alliance didn't care about. A force that the 100 Cities Alliance didn't care about at all. When it first appeared, the Alliance leader and the rest didn't react at all. Instead, they thought it was an opportunity for them. An opportunity to deal with the Dragon God. The other citizens and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance didn't care about Dragon Palace either. They thought they were strong enough to destroy Dragon Palace easily. But now, they realized they were wrong. Martial City was destroyed, witnessed by a dozen experts. They found out. Soon, the news of Martial City's destruction spread across the universe AI. Along with it came 2 pieces of news. Why can't we teleport to 99 City and 9-star Pearl City? Why are all our disciples and experts in 99 City and 9-star Pearl City dead? When the news of Martial City's destruction spread, the entire 100 Cities Alliance was shaken, and the 100 Cities Alliance fell into panic. What's going on? Martial City is destroyed. Martial City was destroyed by the experts of Dragon Palace? How is that possible? How can such a huge city be destroyed so easily by Dragon Palace? Martial City is destroyed. It's really destroyed. It's even more terrifying than the previous time when Dragon Palace destroyed the old city, Tianheng City. The entire city is dead and has become a dead city. 99 City and 9-star Pearl City seem to have experienced some changes. What's going on? Is it Dragon Palace's revenge? How can a city be destroyed by Dragon Palace? Is our city going to be destroyed in the next moment? The news about Marshall City, Jiujiu City, and Nine-Star Pearl City gradually caused panic among some people. Soon, the news about the 99 City and the 9-Star Pearl City blew up. Some said that the two cities had become dead cities. After the news was confirmed, everyone was in an uproar. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Damn it, how is this possible? How is this possible? We can't contact 99 City and 9-Star Pearl City. The City Lord's spirit tablet is broken. In the old lair of the 100 Cities Alliance, many figures flew towards the mountain where the Central Alliance leader was. This time, all the experts in the old lair rushed over. The annihilation of 99 City, 9-Star Pearl City, and Marshall City caused all the cities to panic. The group of experts flew to the mountain peak in the center. They looked at each other and landed on it. On the main peak, the Alliance Master of the 100 City Alliance sat there quietly. Seeing the arrival of the group of experts, he slowly opened his eyes. Alliance Leader, something big has happened to our 100 Cities Alliance. It seems that another 3 cities have been destroyed by the Dragon Palace. Many of our cities are in a state of panic. If we don't handle it well, we'll be finished. An old man could not help but excitedly report to the leader of the 100 City Alliance. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance frowned and did not reply. Buzz. In the next moment, his palm suddenly moved, and a small city appeared in his hand. The model of the small city exuded vitality, and it was completely silent. Another city has been destroyed? An expert saw the city model in the hands of the Alliance leader of the 100 Cities Alliance, and his expression changed drastically. Alliance leader, the teleportation formations in 99 City, 9-Star Pearl City, and Marshall City have all been destroyed. Even the hidden teleportation formations can't be used. At this moment, another 5 figures flew over. The leader was an old man and a red-eyed man with a huge eye on his head. I'm afraid the 3 cities have been destroyed. They continued with solemn expressions. Something has happened to Star City too. Give the order to activate all the formations in the cities. The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance ordered with a sullen expression. Everyone is on high alert. Yes. Red-eyed and the other experts' expressions changed slightly as they immediately responded. All the cities in the 100 Cities Alliance activated their formations and entered a state of alert. This was the first time in history that something like this had happened. Being on full alert also meant the start of an all-out war. The 100 Cities Alliance was actually forced to such a state. However, they were also shocked and horrified. The speed at which 99 City, 9-Star Pearl City, and the others were destroyed was simply too fast. It was so fast that no one could react in time. It was so fast that the cities that were destroyed did not send any distress signals. It was as if they had evaporated in an instant. There was no warning at all, and they did not have the slightest reaction. Alliance leader, once the entire alliance is on high alert, the disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance will panic even more, and more people will leave our cities. When an old man heard the order, he roared with an ugly expression. Shut up. If the entire alliance is not on high alert, we will be killed by the Dragon Palace without even knowing how. The 100 Cities Alliance leader said with a gloomy expression. This time, the 4 cities were destroyed in less than an hour. This was completely out of his expectations. How did the Dragon Palace do it? Even if they had third-order universe sovereigns, they shouldn't be able to destroy 4 cities so quickly and mysteriously. There were 4 of them. I will get to the bottom of this matter. The 100 Cities Alliance leader said as he stood up. In a flash, he flew up into the sky. As his body floated, he slowly opened his arms. He closed his eyes. 1. In the surroundings, the incomparably huge 108 mountain peaks seemed to tremble. An illusory mountain peak appeared above him, and the illusory figures of Xiantian's spiritual treasures started to form. All of the illusory figures flew towards him, shrunk, and entered his body. In a flash, he disappeared. At this moment, the entire 100 Cities Alliance started to move. The 100 Cities Alliance was an alliance of over 100 cities. However, there were only over 90 of them left. That was because 9 cities had been destroyed by the Dragon Palace. On this day, the defensive formations of all the cities were activated, and the formations enveloped all the cities. At the same time, this array gave the experts and disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance a bad feeling. The 100 Cities Alliance was actually forced to such a state. Our cities' arrays were activated for no reason. This should be the confirmation of the annihilation of Marshall City and the other cities. Not only Marshall City and 9-Star Pearl City, even Star City was annihilated. In less than half a day, they were all annihilated. This is too terrifying. Another 4 cities in such a short period of time. How did the Dragon Palace do it? Could it be that our city will be the next one? Compared to Eternal Sky City and Grand Marquis City, all 4 cities have been turned into dead cities. As long as they were in the cities, not a single one escaped. The activation of the arrays did not give the 100 Cities Alliance a sense of security. Instead, it made them panic. Chapter 3481. Terrifying, the Dragon Palace is so powerful. Another 4 cities have been destroyed by the Dragon Palace. None of them managed to escape, they've become dead cities. 4 cities were destroyed in less than half a day. We thought that the Dragon Palace was courting death by provoking the 100 Cities Alliance. We didn't expect the 100 Cities Alliance to be the ones courting death. Up until now, 9 cities have been destroyed by the Dragon Palace. Will there be more? May I ask if the disciples and residents of the 100 Cities Alliance are panicking? I'm a resident of the 100 Cities Alliance. I'm panicking now, I'm going to run. When the news of another 4 cities being destroyed in the 9 cities, the 9-Star Pearl City, the Marshall City, and the Star City spread, the forces on the continent were in an uproar. The 100 Cities Alliance wasn't weak, but now, 9 cities had been destroyed. Every city was equivalent to an advanced race. The 100 Cities Alliance was originally a neutral force, but because of the Dragon God and the Dragon Palace, they were dragged into the war. If the Dragon Palace had been destroyed, it would have been fine. But now, not only was the Dragon Palace not destroyed or suppressed, they had destroyed another 4 cities. Since the start of the war between the Dragon Palace and the 100 Cities Alliance, 9 cities had been destroyed in just a few years. That was 9 cities. If the 100 Cities Alliance couldn't destroy the Dragon Palace immediately, which city would be the next to be destroyed? Although the 100 Cities Alliance had activated the array in all the cities, the residents and some of the disciples and experts were panicking. After the news spread, a large number of residents left the 100 City Alliance and entered other cities. Not leaving? What else could they do? Become the sacrifice of the war between the 100 Cities Alliance and the Dragon Palace. In the face of war, there was no right or wrong, only victory or defeat. But now, they understood that even if the 100 Cities Alliance won in the end, they would still suffer huge losses. The strength displayed by the Dragon Palace had left the 100 Cities Alliance helpless. The departure of the residents and the loss of manpower caused the disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance to fall into fear and panic. Their faces were ugly. Even some of the city lords of the 100 Cities Alliance were panicking. After all, from the start of the war until now, the number of rank 1 supremacies who had died reached a total of 13. Those were existences on the same level as them. Dragon King, the harvest this time is very bountiful. At the same time, Yaki Demon Fiend and the others said excitedly in the Dragon Palace. A few years of dormancy in exchange for today's huge harvest. 6 corpses with the combat power of a First-Order Universe Sovereign. 6 divine nations. On top of that, there were the corpses from the 4 cities. In the 4 cities, there were more than 50 peak universe venerables. This time, Wang Xian was prepared to use these over 50 corpses to increase the number of First-Order Universe Lords in the Dragon Palace. In other words, the Dragon Palace would have at least 14 more First-Order Sovereigns. In addition, Wang Xian still had 6 Devil Skeletons with the combat strength of a Second-Order Universe Sovereign. After the members of the Dragon Palace absorbed them, the number of experts in the Dragon Palace would increase tremendously. You guys go increase your strength first. Next, be more careful with your actions. I'll go check out the situation outside, said Wang Xian to them. It's Dragon King! Yaki Demon Sha and the others nodded with excitement written all over their faces. Boss Dragon King, can you give me all the water-attributed treasures and elixir pills? As long as I absorb all the water-attributed treasures and elixir pills, I'll be able to regain the combat strength of a second-order universe sovereign. At that time, I'll be able to kill more enemies of the Dragon Palace. The Water Tentacle King said to Wang Xian with envy. All right. Wang Xian nodded after some consideration. Although the Water Tentacle King required a large number of treasures to recover, its strength was not to be underestimated. It was once a universe sovereign. The other members of the Dragon Palace couldn't compare to it. Thank you, Dragon King! The Water Tentacle King cheered. She flew towards the pile of treasures in front of her, and took everything that was beneficial to her recovery. Wang Xian chuckled and ignored her. Whoosh! Daddy, Daddy, Lingling is awake! Lingling is awake! At this time, a voice rang in his ear. The little rascal appeared beside him and flapped her wings continuously. Oh? Lingling is awake? Wang Xian looked at her and caressed her head. Yeah. Lingling nodded. She moved her palms and pouted. Daddy, I only have one left. Why is it missing? She looked at the lotus on the magic staff in front of her and pouted. Can't you see that the lotus has grown stronger? It even has 3 flower buds. Wang Xian nodded his head and said with a smile. Oh, when will these 3 flowers bloom? Lingling asked innocently. Yeah, it won't be long. Wang Xian smiled. The evil aura brought about by the massacre was quickly dispelled by Lingling. With Lingling's awakening, Wang Xian's strength could improve a little. If the Water Tentacle King recovered a little more, Wang Xian felt that it wouldn't be a problem to deal with an ordinary third-order universe sovereign. Of course, he could only resist. It would be impossible to defeat the other party. If the other party had powerful treasures, he could forget about it. But he was already very satisfied with this. In the 4 cities, apart from the corpses, he had also obtained 12 innate spiritual treasures. 8 of them were of the 5 elements, and could be absorbed by the 5 elements grindstone. The other one was of the light element, and could be absorbed by the Tai Chi Dragon grindstone. Just as Wang Xian was counting the treasures, the leader of the 100 Cities Alliance hovered above the martial city with a gloomy face. The terrifying blood-red eyes on his body reflected everything that happened in the martial city. But he only saw destruction in the city. He only saw the experts of the Dragon Palace unleashing terrifying attacks and nothing else. What's going on? The city lord of the martial city was killed in advance? But how did the concealment arrays get destroyed? How did they do it? Is it a powerful soul-searching technique or some other mysterious ability? The leader of the 100 Cities Alliance stared below with a gloomy face. He couldn't do anything about such a mysterious attack. I've really underestimated the Dragon Palace. He stood in the void for half an hour, but he still had no clue. His body trembled and he said coldly, I have to destroy the Dragon Palace. Even if I can't, I have to ensure the safety of the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. Otherwise, everything will be over. He gritted his teeth, looked to the west, and flew over. Chapter 3482. 2 days later, the Alliance Master of the 100 City Alliance hovered above the 9-star Pearl City with a gloomy expression. Here, the information he obtained was exactly the same as in Martial City. Terrifying figures rose up one after another, destroying the entire city. The defensive array formation in the city was not activated, so the battle did not break out. It was as if half of the people in the city had died. Faced with this situation, he was somewhat helpless, and there was nothing he could do. Who? The 100 Cities Alliance City Lord took a deep breath, took out the Universe AI, and contacted the Holy Dragon King. Although the 100 Cities Alliance participated in the war between the Sacred Dragon Bloodline and the Ancestral Dragon Bloodline. However, the 100 Cities Alliance could not be considered a lackey of the Sacred Dragon Bloodline. The chief of the 100 Cities Alliance was not much weaker than the Holy Dragon King. It was just that they didn't have connate cardinal treasures, but the weapons they made were equally terrifying. Now that the 100 Cities Alliance was in such a predicament because of the sacred dragon bloodline, he had to ask for their support. He even asked for the support of the angels. If this continued, their 100 Cities Alliance would collapse. Quick! After we receive the mission, we'll deal with some matters and leave this place as soon as possible. As the days passed, a figure holding a magic staff entered Muyang City with branches and leaves twined around his head. Muyang City was a huge city located in the forest. It was one of the top 10 cities in the 100 Cities Alliance. The city lord of this city was a second-order universe sovereign, and there were more than 10 universe sovereigns. It was definitely a core city of the 100 Cities Alliance. However, at this moment, Muyang City was much more deserted than before. Some people also came in hurriedly and came out in a hurry. Even though the Great Array had enveloped the entire city, it still did not make people feel at ease. The figure entangled by the branches and leaves was Wang Xian, who came from the Dragon Palace. After the 5 elements grindstone and the Taiji dragon board devoured the connate's spiritual treasures, he immediately rushed over. He wanted to investigate the situation of the 100 Cities Alliance. Even though the venom horn dragon wasn't exposed, he still had to be careful of the methods of the universe's experts. He couldn't guarantee that the other party had a way to verify the venom horn dragon's species. However, he felt that if it was one of the top races in the universe, there was an 80% chance that they would be able to detect whether an expert had been parasitized by the venom horn dragon. The parasite of the venomous horn dragon wasn't invincible. It was still possible for it to be discovered once it entered a person's body. At the very least, with Wang Xian's current strength, with the help of the dragon eyes, Wang Xian could tell that a venerable venom horn dragon was parasitizing someone else. The means of experts were not to be underestimated. Apart from this conjecture, he also wanted to look at other questions. Wang Xian was dressed up by Ling Ling. Now that Lin Ling had made a breakthrough, she had mastered several auxiliary abilities. One of them was the Heart of Nature. Nature's Heart was a disguise ability that allowed Wang Xian to assume the identity of someone with the wood attribute aura. This identity completely isolated his identity as a divine dragon. Currently, the aura within his body belonged to the elves. Wang Xian realized that this method of concealment was much more powerful than when he transformed into a true dragon. This was equivalent to transforming his identity as a true dragon into an elf. This time, he reckoned that even the red eye wouldn't be able to lock onto him. Wang Xian came to a restaurant, asked for a room, and waited there quietly. Days passed. Sacred Dragon King frowned as he looked at the Alliance leader of the 100 Cities Alliance at the edge of the Sacred Light Mountain. Based on the information we received, the one who saved an azure dragon from the ancestral dragon bloodline was an expert from the Dragon Palace. Now that our 100 Cities Alliance has been forced into such a state, we would like to ask the angels to take action. The Alliance leader of the 100 Cities Alliance looked at Sacred Dragon King with a displeased expression. Of course, if the Sacred Dragon bloodline has any way to help us resolve our current crisis, that's fine too. The Alliance leader of the 100 Cities Alliance added. This matter isn't worth bothering the angels. Sacred Dragon King's eyes flickered as he spoke. Then are you going to wait until our 100 Cities Alliance is completely destroyed before taking action? The Alliance leader of the 100 Cities Alliance said with a gloomy face. Don't worry. It's just a dragon palace. Sacred Dragon King said plainly. How can we not worry? Sacred Dragon King, your son tried to kill the demonic dragon in the Dragon Palace personally but failed. Now 9 of our cities have been destroyed. The Alliance leader of the 100 Cities Alliance said coldly. This is the eyes of the Sacred Dragon. If placed in a city, it can sense the aura of any divine dragon. If placed in a city, it can send out a warning. Even I will be sensed. Sacred Dragon King waved his arm and the fist-sized eyes flew towards the Alliance leader of the 100 Cities Alliance. Humph! With a wave of his arm, the Alliance leader of the 100 Cities Alliance left with all the pupils. He did not look good. because he did not even have the right to see the experts from the angels. If not for the fact that I can't refuse the sacred dragon bloodline's promise, the 100 Cities Alliance would not be in cahoots with you dogs. The next moment, he appeared in the old court of the 100 Cities Alliance. His heart was cold. Red-eyed, heaven's will! He sat there cross-legged and roared. Alliance leader! Soon, Red-eyed and an elder flew over and greeted him respectfully. Take these eyes and check all the divine dragon bloodline in the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. Kill them when you find them. The Alliance leader looked at them and said, In addition, place one eye in each city. This eye can sense all the divine dragon bloodline and divine dragon aura in the surroundings. Yes, Alliance leader! Red-eyed Heaven's Will and the rest saw the function of the treasure, and their eyes lit up. They nodded and left immediately. They brought their people to a city, and immediately took out a dragon eye mirror. Huh! There is a divine dragon bloodline in this city. Kill him! Seeing the message on the dragon eye, Red-eyed Heaven's Will flew towards the indicated location. Without any confirmation or questioning, he killed the divine dragon bloodline. Soon, the divine dragon bloodline possessors in the cities were quickly cleaned up. Some Dragon Palace disciples who had entered the 100 Cities Alliance with concealed aura were caught and killed immediately. The death of a large number of Dragon Palace disciples attracted Prime Minister Turtle's attention. After seeing the location of the deaths, he immediately issued a notice for all Dragon Palace disciples to evacuate the 100 Cities Alliance. Wang Xian received the message quickly, and his eyes lit up. It seemed like the 100 Cities Alliance had some special means. He wondered if the venom-horned dragon could be discovered. Time to test it, he muttered. Chapter 3483. Within the 100 Cities Alliance, all the members of the Dragon Palace who had infiltrated the cities were attacked. Within a short span of 10 hours, more than 500 Dragon Palace disciples were killed. Wang Xian's eyes flickered when he heard the news. The 100 Cities Alliance had the ability to detect the divine dragon bloodline. Wang Xian wasn't sure if he could detect the venom-horned dragon through this method. If he could, the venom-horned dragon wouldn't be able to parasitize and destroy a city like it did in the past. He would have to rely on his strength next. However, there was no conclusion yet. Wang Xian had to test it out with the venom-horned dragon. He immediately contacted Yaqi Demon Fiend and asked them to send a few venom-horned dragons to Muyang City. Before that, he ordered the venom-horned dragon to parasitize a few members of Muyang City. Yaqi Demon Fiend received the order and executed it immediately. Wang Xian waited quietly in Muyang City. 10 days later, the venom-horned dragon sent by Yaqi Demon Fiend arrived. Within these 10 days, the 100 Cities Alliance had fallen into a state of peace. The residents of the 100 Cities Alliance had already left, and the cities were no longer as lively and glorious as before. Some shops were closed in the desolate cities. As time passed, the population of the 100 Cities Alliance would decrease. Wang Xian came to the city gate immediately after receiving the news from Yaqi Demon Fiend and the rest. He entered a shop and pretended to look at something. Outside the city, the 4 figures that had just flown out of the city turned back again. They exchanged glances and flew into the city. They were the venom-horned dragon parasitizing the disciples of Muyang City. They entered the city, chatting and laughing as they walked forward. Ha! At the same time, within the towering tree in the city lord's mansion, a bright dragon eye was reflected in the center. At this moment, the dragon eye suddenly lit up. Below it, the 2 old men opened their eyes immediately. A scene appeared in front of the dragon eye. In the scene, 4 figures were walking in Muyang City. There's a strong divine dragon aura in their bodies. Their strength is at the level of a universe venerable. Courting death. The 2 old men's faces were filled with killing intent. One of them moved and disappeared in an instant. He flew towards the east gate of the city at a terrifying speed. Wang Xian was in a shop, constantly sensing the condition of the venom-horned dragon. After following the venom-horned dragons for about 10 minutes, he suddenly felt a surge of energy attacking the 4 venom-horned dragons. This energy wasn't something the venom-horned dragon could react to. First Order Universe Sovereigns. Return to the Dragon Palace immediately! Wang Xian sensed the aura and immediately sent a message to the venom-horned dragon. At the same time, he made his move. Compared to the figure that was charging over, Wang Xian's speed was even more terrifying. Bam! His figure disappeared from the spot, and in the next instant, his palm pierced through the First Order Sovereign Realm expert's body. Buzz! Then, without any hesitation, he disappeared in an instant. Ah! The terrifying aura disappeared in a flash, and the entire city gate was instantly turned into ruins. Horrified screams resounded. Some of the nearby residents of Muyang City also screamed in fear. Some of the more timid ones instantly left. So. At this moment, the formation shone brightly. One by one, figures flew over at a terrifying speed. 5 figures arrived in the sky above the ruins, and their faces were extremely ugly. This was because a First Order Sovereign Realm expert had fallen. Who? All of them took in a deep breath, and their faces were dark. What happened in Muyang City wasn't a big deal. Even the news of a First Order Sovereign Realm expert being killed wasn't leaked out. However, this incident still caused a huge commotion on the universe artificial intelligence. Damn, the 100 Cities Alliance has already fallen into the flames of war. If this continues, who would dare to stay there? Serves them right. They hunted the disciples of the Dragon Palace, and the Dragon Palace took revenge on them. Now they're finished. If this continues, I reckon that all the people of the 100 Cities Alliance will run away. The neutral forces will also become a joke. Countless people were discussing on the universe artificial intelligence. They were worried about the future of the 100 Cities Alliance. The current 100 Cities Alliance was no longer the neutral force of the past. A Dragon Palace had forced them into a passive position. Wang Xian wasn't too concerned about the universe artificial intelligence and the 100 Cities Alliance. However, what happened just now wasn't good news for the Dragon Palace. The 100 Cities Alliance already has a way to detect the divine dragon bloodline. Even the venom-horned dragons can't enter the cities. The previous method won't work. Wang Xian looked at Baki Demon Sha and the rest as he spoke. Huh! This made the two of them frown slightly. Baki Demoncha's strength had broken through to the Second Order Universe Sovereign Realm after absorbing the energy of Devil Skeleton. With such strength, they thought they could easily destroy a city. Now, it seemed like it wasn't possible. Baki Demon Sha and the venom-horned dragons are free to roam. Roving Demon! As Wang Xian spoke, he looked at Roving Demon beside him. Yes, sir! Roving Demon replied immediately. Bring some men to patrol the surrounding cities of the 100 Cities Alliance. The Spike Dragon will carry out a large-scale assassination on the disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance. Be careful! Wang Xian instructed. Yes, Dragon King! Roving Demon replied immediately. The Dragon Palace Lord wanted to upgrade the venom-horned dragon species and the spiked dragon species. Currently, there were 5 First Order Universe Sovereigns among the spiked dragon species and over 80 Pinnacle Universe Supremacies. There were even more at the other levels. If they spread out to hunt the disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance, it would definitely bring disaster to the 100 Cities Alliance. Be careful. They have many tricks up their sleeves. Wang Xian instructed. Yes, Dragon King! Roving Demon and the rest nodded. All right. He nodded his head and flew outside. His target this time was still the land of Devil Bone. The land of blood plasma could help the progenitor tree bear blood refinement fruits. He needed to accumulate more blood refinement fruits so that the Dragon Palace could produce more purebred divine dragons in the future. Purebred divine dragons were the foundation of the divine dragon bloodline. Only purebred divine dragons had the opportunity to give birth to other powerful dragon species and mutate into frost divine dragons, bone dragons, dual elemental divine dragons, or even quintuple elemental divine dragons. As for the 100 Cities Alliance, he would take revenge bit by bit. When he broke through again, it would be the time for the war to break out. Chapter 3484, Wang. A few months later, Wang Xian came to the blood pool and sat at the deepest spot with a smile. The branches of the progenitor tree were planted deep into the ground as he sat there quietly. As the days passed, the blood refinement fruit started to solidify. However, up till now, the war between the Dragon Palace and the 100 Cities Alliance had finally erupted. In the past, Wang Xian merely used the venom-horned dragon to obtain information before wiping out one city after another. But now, it was a competition of strength and assassination in the dark. This was a head-on clash. Around each city, 200,000 Spinosaurus species were distributed in the surroundings. Today, there were 95 cities in the 100 Cities Alliance. 95 cities, and each city had over 2,000 Spinosaurus species. This was considered more scattered. They hid around the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance and monitored the entire city. Even the weakest among them had the combat power of a rank 3 universe supremacy. In the 9 cities that were wiped out, 50% of the resources were concentrated in the Spinosaurus species. When disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance flew out of the cities, Roving Demon and the rest would carry out the assassination. The surroundings of the cities were vast. It was impossible for the disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance to stay in the cities and not come out. They needed to improve and survive. Was it possible for all the disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance to stay in the Holy Kingdom and not come out? That was no different from being suppressed in the Grotto Heaven and Blessed Land. When they flew out, it was the time for them to be assassinated. In the sky above a city, a dozen people flew out of the city and headed in one direction. Suddenly, Spinosaurus species appeared around them, sliced their necks, and killed them. The assassination was ongoing. Even though there were very few disciples in the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance, with over 90 cities, the number of people entering and exiting could reach tens of millions. After all, the number of disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance was too huge. But now, a large number of disciples and experts were suddenly killed at the entrance of the 100 Cities Alliance. Especially later on, after a few disciples escaped death from the spiked dragon species, they talked about it on the Universe AI. When I was leaving the city, I was ambushed. My companions were all killed. In the beginning, this kind of sporadic news did not attract much attention. But slowly, as time passed, half a year later, more and more people posted this information on the Universe AI. The number of people posting this kind of message reached thousands. A few thousand wasn't a lot, but these few thousand people realized that something wasn't right. They gathered together on the Universe's AI and collectively announced this news. 4 months ago, I came out with a dozen companions and was suddenly assassinated. I was the only one who survived. Similarly, more than 10 days ago, I, the leader, and 100 others were preparing to hunt some dire beasts when we suffered a terrifying attack. A terrifying light and darkness figure appeared out of nowhere, and only I managed to escape. My family and I were also assassinated. My entire family was killed, and I was the only one alive. It's too terrifying. As far as I know, very few people who left the city in the past 6 months came back alive. I keep feeling that the situation outside the city has suddenly become very scary. All of my friends who left the city have lost contact with me. Information after information spread within the 100 Cities Alliance. As the number of people increased, it quickly attracted some people's attention. This means that our bounty hunter squad left the city 2 months ago, and there's no news at all. It's the same on my side. I can't contact my family who left the city at all. Someone is assassinating people around our city. There were many people going in and out of the 100 Cities Alliance every day. In half a year, the number of missing people had reached a terrifying number. What happened to a few thousand people attracted even more people. This was because many of their friends and family had lost contact with them after leaving the city. There were a lot of people in this group. In just 10 hours, the Universe AI reported that the number of missing friends and family had reached tens of millions. When everyone saw this number, they were in an uproar. Someone is assassinating all of our 100 Cities Alliance's disciples who left the city. Someone is attacking us. What's going on? Have the leaders of the 100 Cities Alliance found out anything yet? What's going on? Is this real or fake? Is Dragon Palace purposely creating panic? Or is it the truth? Many questions appeared on the Universe AI. I have a photo of the assassin here. It's this. As time passed, someone suddenly exposed the photo of the spiked dragon species. A terrifying existence that alternated between light and darkness. Half light and half darkness, it was hidden in the void. Looking on silently, it was extremely terrifying. This is the spiked dragon species of the god dragon race. Back then, they were the pinnacle race of the god dragon race. Terrifying assassins. Among the pinnacle races, there were also terrifying assassins. Even at the pinnacle of the god dragon race, there were very few of them, less than 10,000. Immediately, someone recognized the spiked dragon species and explained it on the Universe AI. Spiked dragon species? This is definitely a strong dragon species of Dragon Palace. According to Dragon Palace's history, they have powerful assassins. This is definitely the work of the spiked dragon species. SSS. A pinnacle god dragon species assassinated our 100 Cities Alliance's disciples. The 100 Cities Alliance's disciples and experts felt a chill when they saw this. Pinnacle dragon species, this could be said to be the pinnacle race. Moreover, it was a pinnacle existence in the universe. This kind of existence was born to fight and even assassinate other pinnacle race beings. But now, it had locked on to the 100 Cities Alliance. Moreover, within a short span of half a year, a large number of the 100 Cities Alliance's disciples had been assassinated. To them, this was simply bad news. This was simply hell mode. Not long ago, the 100 Cities Alliance announced that the annihilation of the cities would never happen. They already had a way to defend against the sudden attack from Dragon Palace. Now, the annihilation of the cities did not happen. However, the outside of the cities were under attack. God knew how many disciples had been assassinated. If this went on, wouldn't the 100 Cities Alliance's disciples never be able to leave the cities? Has the 100 Cities Alliance found out? Prime Minister Turtle announced in the name of Dragon Palace that Dragon Palace will be hunting down all the disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance. Warn the other cities to cut off the teleportation formations with the 100 Cities Alliance. Otherwise, don't blame us for any accidental injuries. At the bottom of the blood pool, Wang Xian received the message from Prime Minister Turtle and replied with a smile. Now was the time for Dragon Palace to turn the tables. Back when the 100 Cities Alliance announced that they would be hunting down Dragon Palace, they warned the other cities not to let the disciples of Dragon Palace enter their cities. Otherwise, they would have to bear the consequences. Now it was time for them to hunt down the 100 Cities Alliance and warn the other cities. Chapter 3485. Dragon Palace. From today onwards, Dragon Palace will use all its power to hunt down all disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance. Remind all forces not to open the teleportation formation with the 100 Cities Alliance. It'll be bad if you accidentally get hurt. Suddenly, a piece of news caused the 100 Cities Alliance, which was already a hot topic, to explode once again in the midst of the turbulent, chaotic continent. The explosive news came from Dragon Palace's announcement. This was the first announcement Dragon Palace made since entering Primordial Continent. When all the experts from the various forces saw this announcement, their faces were filled with shock. Is this Dragon Palace's announcement? Is Dragon Palace announcing that the people who were assassinated around the cities of the 100 Cities Alliance were killed? WTF, this Dragon Palace's announcement is so domineering. Not only did it announce to hunt down all disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance, it also warned the other cities to cut off contact with them. Isn't this announcement the same as the 100 Cities Alliance's a few years ago? Now it's Dragon Palace's turn? Pinnacle dragon species, spiked dragon, assassinating disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance. Just thinking about it is terrifying. This time, the 100 Cities Alliance is in even more trouble. How will they defend? On the Universe AI, Countless people were shocked when they saw Dragon Palace's announcement. The river flows east for 30 years and west for 30 years. Not long ago, the 100 Cities Alliance wanted to hunt down disciples of Dragon Palace. However, after a few years, the 100 Cities Alliance became what it was today. Dragon Palace started to hunt down disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance. Especially since the legendary spiked dragon species was hunting down disciples of the 100 Cities Alliance. This was a huge pressure for the disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance. It was the same logic as the assassins of the Underworld clan hunting them. Would you be afraid if the experts of the pinnacle races assassinated you? Luckily, I escaped from the 100 Cities Alliance early. I wonder what will happen to the 100 Cities Alliance. Is it going to die? Dragon Palace's strength has exceeded everyone's imagination. Countless people were discussing on the Universe AI. On the other hand, everyone in the 100 Cities Alliance had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. They had just solved the danger of the city being destroyed, and now there was danger outside the city. Couldn't they go out? They were in despair. Were they not going to go out in the future? However, most of the disciples and experts of the 100 Cities Alliance decided to go into secluded cultivation and only come out after a few thousand, or even a few 100,000 years. When the city lords of the 100 Cities Alliance saw this, their bodies trembled violently. No matter what, their losses this time were too great. Next, they had to think of a way to deal with the spiked dragons around their city. The city lords were slightly exhausted. They had never expected that the Dragon Palace would force them to such a state. When the Alliance Master of the 100 Cities Alliance received the news, he fell silent. He pondered for a long time before giving an order. All the Universe Ruler level experts arrived and held a 100 City Alliance meeting. It would not be an exaggeration to say that the 100 Cities Alliance had reached a critical juncture. Time passed day by day, but the 100 Cities Alliance did not give any response. Some experts only knew that a large number of experts from the 100 City Alliance had begun to investigate the city's surroundings. But they didn't find anything. After the Dragon Palace released the message, the Spinosaurus species returned to the Dragon Palace. How could they wait for the other party's revenge? Only Roving Demon and a few other Universe Ruler level Spinosaurus species were still active outside. Who would have thought that the Dragon Palace would actually force the 100 Cities Alliance to such a state? At this very moment, it was located in an awe-inspiring underground. Countless roots interweaved underground, and within a hole formed by the roots, a dozen figures sat there. They looked at the news in front of them in shock. The one who spoke was Azure Dragon Moon. That's right, the 100 Cities Alliance isn't weak, yet they were forced to such a state by the Dragon Palace. Furthermore, the Dragon Palace should have quite a number of Spinosaurus species. Those are peak dragon species. Beside Azure Dragon Moon, an old man sighed. That Dragon King should be a second-order universe ruler, right? Another middle-aged man looked at Azure Dragon Moon suspiciously. He should have broken through. Back when I first met him, he could easily kill a first-order universe ruler. He should have broken through by now. Azure Dragon Moon nodded. Azure Dragon Moon, why don't you invite the Dragon King to enter the Tangled Land with us? An old man said. This? Azure Dragon Moon pondered. If he goes, it would mean that the Dragon Palace is participating in the war between the Ancestral Dragon and the Sacred Dragon bloodline. Sigh, we have no other choice now. This is something left behind by Senior Azure Dragon Dutien. We can't let the Sacred Dragon bloodline get it. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace has always been on the same side as us. You can tell us everything clearly. If the Dragon King doesn't want to go, we won't force him. The old man sighed and said, All right. Azure Dragon Moon pondered for a moment before nodding his head. He took out the Universe AI and sent some information to Wang Xian. The experts of the Angel Clan. Have they really intervened? After sending the message, Azure Dragon Moon looked at the old man and asked. The Sacred Dragon bloodline has gained 5 innate cardinal treasures. The old man said solemnly. A few seconds later he added, If not, how could Senior Azure Dragon Dutien have been killed? Azure Dragon Moon fell silent with sorrow in his eyes. The ancestral dragon bloodline wasn't having a good time, especially the experts of the ancestral dragon bloodline who were facing a terrifying crisis. Although the Angel clan didn't send their experts directly, the innate cardinal treasures were also a form of help. A sense of helplessness lingered in everyone's hearts. At the same time, Wang Xianyu's Universe AI, which was located underground in the blood pool, shook. He immediately opened it and saw the message from Azure Dragon Moon. The blood pool. The Dragon Palace of a Third Order Universe Sovereign Senior from the ancestral dragon bloodline. This senior was killed by the experts of the sacred dragon bloodline. When Wang Xian saw this message, he was shocked. The Dragon Palace of a Third Order Universe Sovereign Expert. All the treasures of that senior were in there. Azure Dragon Moon asked if he was interested, and he also mentioned a problem. That was, the search for the Dragon Palace might be extremely dangerous. The danger came from the sacred dragon bloodline. The sacred dragon bloodline was also very interested in the Dragon Palace of such an expert. Once Wang Xian got involved, it might be dangerous for the Dragon Palace. This meant that the Dragon Palace would be completely involved in their war. Chapter 3486. The sacred dragon bloodline has already sent people to kill me. Even the holy dragon son used his innate treasure. Why would I care about becoming enemies with them? Wang Xian murmured. He didn't mind participating in the war between the sacred dragon bloodline and the ancestral dragon bloodline. In fact, the Dragon Palace had participated right from the start. It was just that the Dragon Palace was fishing in troubled waters and didn't contribute much. Later on, the disciples of the Dragon Palace were attacked by the 100 Cities Alliance. That was when the Dragon Palace clashed with the 100 Cities Alliance. The Dragon Palace of a Third Order Universe Sovereign Realm Azure Dragon must have a lot of treasures. According to Azure Dragon Moon's message, I'll get at least 30% of the treasures. If I contribute more, I'll get more. Wang Xian murmured. He pondered for a moment before replying to Azure Dragon Moon. Soon, Azure Dragon Moon sent back a message. They would gather in 2 months. Wang Xian looked at the location of the gathering. It would take about 10 days to reach the Eternal Heaven River. He looked at the blood refinement fruit in front of him. The timing was just right. The blood refinement fruit would ripen in about a month's time. At that time, he would have 2 blood refinement fruits. After giving Azure Dragon Moon an accurate reply, Wang Xian waited patiently. The Dragon King has agreed. We'll gather in 2 months. At the same time, Azure Dragon Moon looked at the people around him and said, Good. With a second order universe sovereign like the Dragon King, we'll have a higher chance of success. The few old men nodded their heads. Among them, the strongest was only a second order sovereign realm expert. Time passed day by day and the second blood refinement fruit gradually ripened in the pool of blood. The entire fruit gave off an alluring glow. Wang Xian looked at the fruit and revealed a smile. Wang! At this moment, Wang Xian sensed something strange around him. He squinted his eyes and sat there motionlessly, sensing his surroundings. Whoosh! At this moment, he saw a dire beast that looked like a rat charging towards him at a terrifying speed. This rat was blood-red in color, and exuded a powerful blood aura. It had blood-red teeth and terrifying speed. A first-order universe sovereign wild beast. Wang Xian's eyes flashed coldly. He waved his arm and grabbed it. He used his energy to imprison it. A smile appeared on his face. It was too easy for him to obtain a first-order sovereign realm desolate beast. His luck was not bad. Boom! However, at this moment, a bloody thigh appeared beside him. The surging blood aura made Wang Xian hold his breath. This blood-red thigh seemed to have appeared out of thin air, causing his expression to change drastically. Buzz! The Tai Chi dragon board appeared around Wang Xian to defend against the sudden attack. Pa pa pa! Wang Xian narrowed his eyes at the sound of something shattering. The Tai Chi dragon coil was defeated again. After the Tai Chi dragon coil reached the second order universe sovereign realm, It had been broken several times. Blood-red skeleton legs. However, even though the Tai Chi dragon plate had collapsed, a powerful backlash was still rebounding towards it. When Wang Xian saw the assailant, he narrowed his eyes. No, it was a pink skeleton leg. The parts of the pink skull. Courting death. Sensing the attack of the pink skeleton legs, Wang Xian's eyes turned cold. Whoosh! However, the pink skeleton legs did not retreat even after suffering the backlash from the Tai Chi dragon coil. Instead, they disappeared into thin air. In the next instant, they appeared beside the blood refinement fruit. A wave of energy shrouded the blood refinement fruit. Its target was the blood refinement fruit. The blood refinement fruit was definitely a rare treasure in the world. It was not uncommon for it to attract skeletons and desolate beasts. However, this pink skeleton leg was a little terrifying. It was strong enough to kill a second-order universe sovereign. Most importantly, its attack was strange and terrifying, as though it could break through the void. Courting death. Wang Xian's face turned cold when he saw it grabbing towards the blood refinement fruit. The blood refinement fruit was born by the progenitor tree. With a thought, the blood refinement fruit disappeared instantly. Buzz. Kill it. In the next instant, Dark Ghost, Water Tentacle King, Lingling, and the 5 Elements Grindstone appeared. This was all they had, a move that could strike fear into the hearts of those at the same level. With a flash of blue light, mirrors appeared out of thin air. The mirrors looked a little illusory. Dark Ghost's 5 Elements Grindstone attacked directly. Lingling wielded the powerful 9th grade Water Lotus Staff and released a thunderbolt. A restraining thunderbolt. Wang Xian flapped his unbeginning saint wings and arrived before the pink skeleton leg in an instant. Buzz! Buzz! The pink skeleton leg sensed the surrounding energy locking onto it and shivered. Buzz! Buzz! Its entire body emitted a blood-colored radiance, which split into a dozen pink skeleton legs and fled in all directions. Bam! 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 Wang Xian's 5 Elements Grindstone, Dark Ghost, and the rest's attacks landed on the pink skeleton leg. Each of the pink skeleton legs seemed to be solid. When the powerful attacks landed on them, the energy on the pink skeleton legs dimmed significantly. Buzz! At this instant, the dozen pink skeleton legs shone brightly. One by one, the pink skeleton legs disappeared, leaving only the one that was fleeing at the front. In an instant, it dashed forward like a water mirror. It dashed into the water mirror but did not destroy it. In the next instant, it appeared in another water mirror, closer to Wang Xian and the rest. Ha ha ha, foolish thing. Trying to escape from me, the Water Tentacle King? Seeing this, the Water Tentacle King revealed a maniacal smile. This time, the Water Tentacle King had devoured most of the elixir pills and water-attributed treasures from the 4 cities. After recovering its strength, it had also recovered a lot of its techniques. Seeing this, Wang Xian was pleasantly surprised. The Water Tentacle King's techniques were indeed strange. Dragon Claw. He extended his dragon claw and grabbed at the pink skeleton leg. The 5 Elements Grindstone, Dark Ghost, and the rest had completely sealed the surroundings of the pink skeleton leg. Bam! As the dragon claw grabbed, waves of energy attacked it. The destructive power of the 5 elements melted away the vitality and soul in its body. Arg! From within the pink skeleton leg, screams could be heard before they gradually faded away. Still coveting my blood refinement fruit? Courting death. Wang Xian smiled as he looked on. This was a great harvest. If he gave the pink skeleton leg to Princess Ling Honggu, he could exchange it for at least 2 second-order universe sovereigns with demonic skeletons. Or even more. This was one of the stronger body parts of the pink skeleton leg that Wang Xian had obtained. It was even stronger than the pink skeleton finger. Logically speaking, exchanging it for 3 of the same level shouldn't be a problem. However, Wang Xian didn't mind. Even if it was 1 for 1, he wouldn't reject it. After all, they were friends. Before meeting up with Green Dragon Moon, I'll make a trip to the Spirit Demon race. Wang Xian murmured. Chapter 3487. It's ripe! After more than 10 days, the blood refinement fruit ripened. Wang Xian smiled. Luck was on his side this time. The blood refinement fruit had even attracted a second-order universe Lord Pink Skeleton Leg and a first-order universe Lord Wild Beast. Perhaps the Wild Beast was manipulated by the Skeleton Leg to attract Wang Xian's attention. But that wasn't important. What was important was that they were all killed by Wang Xian. Not bad. Wang. He took out a teleportation item, moved his body, and instantly disappeared. In the next moment, he arrived at a skeleton palace of the spirit demon race. He sent a message to Ling Honggu, but there was no reply after waiting for a while. She should be cultivating in seclusion. She should be able to raise her strength to third-order universe lord after obtaining 3 parts of pink skeleton, Wang Xian murmured. This brother from the spirit demon race, Wang Xian from Dragon Palace, would like to meet the spirit demon king. He glanced at the spirit demon guards and said, Yes, Lord Wang Xian. The guard of the spirit demon tribe recognized Wang Xian. He nodded and went to report. Wang. Welcome, Wang Xian. Soon, the spirit demon king appeared and greeted Wang Xian with a smile. Sorry to disturb you, Lord Spirit Demon King. I was trying to contact Princess Ling Honggu, but I couldn't get in touch with her. So sorry to disturb you. Wang Xian chuckled. As he spoke, he moved his palm and said, I caught a pink skeleton leg in the blood pool. What? The spirit demon king was taken aback. Looking at the pink skeleton leg that contained terrifying energy, his eyes were filled with surprise and joy. Great! Thank you so much, Wang Xian. The parts of pink skeleton are extremely important to Honggu now. The power contained in this pink skeleton leg is second only to the pink skeleton head. He thanked Wang Xian excitedly. The pink skeleton was the only key for Ling Honggu to advance to the Universe Lord realm. It was also the only hope for the spirit demon race to have a Universe Lord realm expert. Previously, when Wang Xian could take out 2 parts of the pink skull, it had already shocked them. How long had it been? And he got another one? I'm just lucky. He ambushed me, but I managed to suppress him. Wang Xian smiled. Haha, it's Honggu's good fortune to have met Wang Xian. The spirit demon king laughed out loud. With a wave of his arm, a pitch-black skull mask floated in front of him. Brother Wang Xian, this pink skull leg is very important to Honggu. We have nothing to repay you with. Please accept this treasure. This innate spiritual treasure is called the Skull Cross Nail. A fallen angel once used this Skull Cross Nail to kill an archangel of light. It has a great restraining effect on light. You have a grudge against the divine dragon bloodline, so perhaps this can be used. As he spoke, the cross skull mask, although it was a mask, was called the cross skull nail. It had been dyed in the blood of an archangel. Archangels were powerful existences at the universe ruler realm. The skull cross spikes floated above Wang Xian. He could feel the terrifying energy contained within. That was no ordinary connate numinous treasure. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and looked at the Spirit Demon King. Spirit Demon King, this is too precious. Haha, compared to this pink skeleton leg, this is nothing. The Spirit Demon King shook his head. Wang Xian smiled and did not say anything more. He reached out and held the cross skull mask in his hand. He could feel that the power of light in his body was under extreme suppression. This was indeed an innate spiritual treasure that was dyed in the blood of an archangel. It was far from what ordinary innate spiritual treasures could compare to. Wang Xian estimated that this innate spiritual treasure was no weaker than the light spear that the sacred dragon bloodline had used to ambush him. That light spear had instantly broken his Tai Chi dragon coil. Thank you, Spirit Demon King! Wang Xian's eyes shone. He hesitated for a moment before he waved his hand and a fruit appeared in his hand. This was the fruit of resurrection, a heaven-defying fruit that could resurrect people. This was also the strongest fruit of the Dragon Palace. This is for Princess Ling Honggu. Spirit Demon King, let's meet again if there's a chance. He cupped his hands and his figure began to turn illusory. The Spirit Demon King was taken aback. Looking at the fruit floating in the void, his expression changed. He waved his hand and held it in his hand to feel the energy within. The next moment, his eyes shone with astonishment. Fruit of Resurrection! The Spirit Demon King was shocked. It's such a precious fruit. He actually took it out and gave it to Hongyu. Could it be that he has taken a fancy to Hongyu? The Spirit Demon King couldn't help but guess. After all, this fruit was too precious. It was so precious that the entire Spirit Demon race didn't have such a powerful fruit. Treasures related to resurrection were extremely rare. It was so precious that the Spirit Demon King couldn't help but make wild guesses. This Wang Xian isn't bad. If the news is true, he's the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. He might be able to step into the Universe Lord realm in the future. The Spirit Demon King chuckled and kept the fruit. With a flash, he returned to his holy kingdom. As for his daughter, she was in her holy kingdom, undergoing integration and breakthrough. Wang Xian didn't know what the Spirit Demon King was thinking. If he knew, he would definitely vomit blood. Giving the fruit of resurrection was just a way of returning the favor. If the Spirit Demon race was a good friend, then Wang Xian wouldn't be an errand either. As for the fruit of resurrection? There were plenty of such fruits in the Dragon Palace. If it wasn't for the fear of attacking recklessly, other forces would covet it. It would attract the covetous eyes of other forces. Wang Xian wanted to sell a few hundred of them so that he could reach the 4th or even 5th Order Universe Lord realm. It was a pity that it was best not to leak such a treasure. Otherwise, he couldn't guarantee that the experts from the pinnacle races wouldn't covet it. A fruit of such a grade was comparable to the fruit of life of the elf race. Wang Xian returned to his holy kingdom. With a flash, he arrived at the blessed land below the water of the heavens. After exiting the blessed land, he immediately flew towards the agreed location with Azure Dragon Moon. At this moment, he was wearing a creepy cross-skull mask that emitted a terrifying aura. However, his body was also emitting wood-attributed energy, which made him look a little creepy. The agreed location with Azure Dragon Moon was at the edge of a forest. After flying for more than 10 days, he arrived at his destination. He scanned the surroundings and didn't find any traces of Azure Dragon Moon. He sent a message to the Universe AI. Dragon King? Brother Wang Xian? The next moment, Azure Dragon Moon appeared from a tree and called out to Wang Xian with doubt. He wasn't sure. At this moment, Wang Xian's aura was completely different from what he knew. Brother Azure Dragon Moon! Wang Xian looked at him and revealed a smile. The mask on his face gradually disappeared. It's really the Dragon King. I didn't dare to recognize your aura. Azure Dragon Moon revealed a smile and flew over immediately. Just call me Wang Xian. You don't have to be so distant. Wang Xian smiled. When he saw Azure Dragon Moon flying over, he patted his shoulder. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.